Welcome back to the Bold North Sports Podcast. I'm here with Ev today. We're going to be running over some Minnesota Vikings information for you guys today to start out the podcast. Last Thursday, the Vikes played in Seattle. Pretty solid game overall from Jordan Addison. I really liked his play. Ivan Pace, he played really well. Jaron Hall had no time to make any sort of play. Ev, how'd you feel about that game?
Well, I'll be honest, this is where I'm not a very good fan because I'm not like Cam. Cam watched probably the whole game. I watched 2 series, and I went to bed because I'm like, half these guys aren't going to be on the team, so I don't really care. I've seen Addison had a good catch, but it was called back.
Yeah, that was dumb.
In a regular game, you're going to challenge it.
Right.
I don't think Kevin O'Connell really cares that much because if you listen to his press conference, he's kind of just he says all the last end of the game. It's he didn't really talk highly, so it's
right. Yeah, and it's only preseason, but I get so hyped because football is back, and no matter what, there was 5 games on Saturday, and I'm not gonna say I watched a ton of them or really went in depth with the team or whatever. But football's back. I'm excited to just see teams actually play. I don't care who it is. But what I found really fascinating on Thursday was that our defense was very aggressive, forced a lot of 3-and-outs. It may not have been the starting defense, but I think the twos did a really good job stopping Seattle right away, especially Drew Lock, who was playing most of the games. So I was very impressed by Buffalo's defense. I was actually also impressed by Mullins, too. I thought he played a pretty solid game. He's obviously not as run-heavy or run-choice like Jaron Hall is, but he did a good job getting the ball out. Was fairly accurate most of the time, I would say. Other than Jordan Addison's one big catch that was thrown behind him, which may or may not have been a touchdown, but I really enjoyed his play.
I didn't really see any of it. I just was on Twitter after the game. And the 2 things that stood out to me were Jaron Hall didn't have any time whatsoever, and he was just running, so he couldn't really get a feel for the game when he's running for the whole time. And the other thing I seen, and this stood out to me too, was I did not know this, but Booth and Seen both played in the third quarter in the game, which is a little worrisome for me because those are 2 of your high picks of last year's draft, and they're not really established yet, which is a big question mark for both of them.
Yeah, Kwesi's picks from 2022 have been very interesting. I mean, a lot of them you can't give them negative perceptions of it because Seen basically broke his leg in London. Booth got hurt. Asamoah didn't really play until the second half of the season. Ed Ingram is stepping on Kirk Cousins' cleat all the time. Can't really control that. So, you got to give him time. I think Seen can really be a difference maker with his closing speed and his ability to pursuit of the ball. But Booth, man, I'm starting to give up on him because he got beat by an undrafted free agent. Not that Jake Bobo is bad or anything like that, but it's just tough to see when how the player he was in college is not translating over, and it happens all the time, But I think that Kwesi hasn't entirely messed up yet, but it's getting close with one player, and I believe that's Andrew Booth, who is probably going to be considered a bust after this season.
But I think a recovery from that is the way Caleb Evans played
Right.
before he got hurt, too. So the 2022 draft class is really an injury-prone draft class through 1 year, which hopefully it changes, but injuries suck. It's the worst part of the game, so you can't really control it.
Yeah.
But hopefully Booth can get healthy because they picked him in the second round for a reason. You're not a second-round rookie. Second-round rookie's still a very impactful player.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good second-round picks.
Yeah.
Essentially we traded our second-round pick for a top 3 tight end in the league.
Yeah.
So
well, that obviously worked out, and I'm so excited for. Hawk is. We finally figured out what was going on with Hawk. As of lately, it was an ear infection that was making him dizzy and such. I forgot what the actual term is inside of the ear, but it's not a holdout as to what the media thought it was. It was blown out of proportion. Just somebody who hopefully we can have get back to normal health. And obviously the extension needs to happen still. Obviously it's not a rush for him, and he clearly said that to everybody. But media took that one out of proportion. I feel bad for the guy because it seemed like he left practice fairly early, and a lot of those practices.
Still got to pay the man.
You still have to.
Regardless. Him and Jefferson both have to get locked up.
Yeah.
Hopefully Hockenson does in the next week, and Jefferson next offseason. Maybe even after the Super Bowl parade in downtown Minneapolis in February of 2024.
We'll be there. I went to training camp with my good buddy Austin, and I almost wore my Hockenson jersey and then taped a paper that said "Extend me," but I wanted to be different, and I wore my Brian Asamoah jersey, which another kid actually did have, by the way. It was actually a Fanatics jersey that was a throwback, it was actually sick. But so I was original, but I was you know what, I'm glad the guy's getting the recognition that he deserves. But another linebacker that I feel needs a lot of recognition, we hit on him already, is Ivan Pace. He wore the green dot against Seattle, which is very impressive for an undrafted free agent who should not have been an undrafted free agent due to size and just not being the prototypical height for a linebacker. He got, pretty shoved down the draft as far as just the disrespect from other teams.
Did you see him run over that guard?
Oh, that was insane. Took on the right guard and made the shoestring tackle. That was very impressive. Absolutely love that.
I mean, I said it in the first episode. I'm going to stay by it. I love that man.
Yeah.
I mean, he's my Brian Asamoah to you. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely love him. He's a heat-seeking missile. He's going to be absolutely phenomenal in Flo's defense. It's going to be so fun to watch. And I'm going to say right now, and it may not happen like week 1, which kind of sucks, but I feel like he will definitely eventually be the starter this year over Jordan Hicks.
So I have a question to ask you off of that.
Okay.
So all the linebackers on the roster, they just signed another one off of Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Who makes the team and who doesn't? If you have to say, you think Jordan Hicks is safe just because of the experience?
Hicks is safe because of leadership and experience. I think that's probably why they brought him back, and they also told him, hey, you're going to take the cheapest deal we're going to offer you. Because he was a liability last year in coverage. I think he makes it, but I think week 1 it's going to be Asamoah and Hicks. Eventually, I think it will be Pace and Asamoah. I think that Dye probably stays, I would say. Kwenku might stay.
He's on the IR. He probably won't make the team.
He might not make. He might be practice squad. I don't really know.
I would say that who's the guy we signed from the Chargers?
Troy Reeder will probably make it. He's also got veteran experience too.
I think it's one of those. Troy Dyer, the guy from San Diego.
Yeah, Dyer or Reeder. Reeder's an O'Connell guy, so he has that going for him. Dye he's had opportunity. Well, I guess he hasn't really because Eric Kendricks was in his way the entire time. So, I don't know. We'll see. I think Kwenku's probably the one that's probably going to get cut or at least practice squad.
To me, it just seems like Troy Dye hasn't jumped off the page in any of the preseason games. So that's kind of a concern. I mean, not for himself. He should. If he gets cut, I won't be shocked. I'll just say that. I mean, I think the 3 that I think are on the team week 1 for sure is Asamoah, Hicks, and Pace.
Yeah.
But after that, you don't really because it all depends on who gets cut by other teams and stuff.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. As far, we could just hit every position you want to hit?
We can do that, yeah.
Okay. So this is not a full 53-man, but just kind of our opinion as far as who we think will make the team. I mean, quarterbacks, I think they're going to keep 3. They're not going to let Jaren Hall be up for grabs on practice squad.
Yeah, we should come back to that one because there's a lot more position battles that you should discover and find out before you go there.
Right.
Because Nick Mullins is a very capable backup.
He is. I trust him.
If they think that Jaren Hall will fall through, I could see him easily being on the practice squad, easier than people think.
Yeah.
Or even Mullins could get cut. honestly.
Maybe.
If they want to keep two, that's going to be, I think, one of the harder decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Is who do you take the upside, or do you take like a good, capable backup?
Right, because Kirk is a very durable quarterback. So I would say that keeping Jaren Hall, I guess, is not the worst idea for the future. But they can't really put him on practice squad. I mean, they just drafted him, and he's not supposed to be the future, but he could be the future. So, kept Kellen Mond on the roster, so which that was a disaster, obviously. So I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what they're going to do there, but I think they keep 3 at least.
Yeah, I could see 2 or 3. I just think like if another like a question you could ask is like, would you rather have an extra secondary guy or an extra quarterback?
Right.
Because the way Kirk has been playing, it's like, is a third quarterback really a need, or is it kind of like, well, we don't want to lose Hall? That's a tough decision to make, because what would you rather have, like another inexperienced corner? Because your cornerback room is so inexperienced. Having maybe an extra guy on there just to have one could be a difference maker compared to a third quarterback that could never see the field.
Right. Running backs, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, Madison, he's been banged up a little bit, and it might be a lot more serious than we think because the Vikings have been bringing in some veteran running backs as of lately, like Kareem Hunt and Mike Davis today.
The Cook return is no longer going to happen.
Cook will not be coming back. I heard a rumor that the Vikings offered $7 million, which may have made the Jets offer $1.6 million even more, which maybe that means a lot to the Vikings. I don't know, but that could be true. It may not be. I don't know, but it sounds like there was a different team that offered him a good amount too.
Probably Miami.
Could have been Miami, yeah. But I think Kane, who knows at this point, because McBride didn't really look great at all in the preseason game. They had him kick returning for some reason, which I didn't get at all because that's not really his strength, and he didn't do that at all at UAB. Ty Chandler was phenomenal. I think he'll be RB2. And I feel 100% comfortable with him being there because he's able to catch the ball and obviously run the ball like we saw. So I don't know. I think I see McBride probably being the odd man out there, unfortunately.
Practice squad. I think he could easily fall to the practice squad because he's a 7th round pick, so he's 20 picks away from just being undrafted. So I mean, either that or another point of that is if you bring in a veteran, because I think Kane's on the team. I don't really get the point of bringing in veterans because you cut Cook because you wanted to save money and do more of a running back by committee, because in this offense we both know that you don't need the workhorse 30 carries Derrick Henry, give him the ball and he wins you the game or he loses you the game. So I would just like to run with the young guys, because I think Madison, Chandler, Kane, all 3 of those guys could be a really deep, good running back room, which could help you just support, like, because all they need to do is kind of like help Kirk blocking and then like the occasional like 5 to 7 yard handoff and then receive the balls from the backfield.
Right. I mean, because the Vikings can't not run the ball this year just because they have a bunch of targets. I mean, the run sets up the play action, which is one of Kirk's big strengths that he likes to play. So, and I definitely believe in Madison and Ty Chandler. So I do really like those two as a 1-2 punch. With receivers, it's pretty self-explanatory, I would say. I think they'd only keep like 5, maybe.
I would say after the first 4,
yeah,
it gets dicey.
It gets tough because obviously Jefferson, KJ Addison, and Naylor probably. Who knows what's up with him? But Powell and Reagor seem like they're going against each other, I would say. Reagor was the leading receiver on Thursday night. Powell had a few nice plays.
Then Harry looked good as well.
Harry had a nice catch, and he could be a red zone threat. So, I mean, the Vikings might keep 6. And, I think Powell and Reagor are definitely fighting for a punt returner. Or it might even be kick returner now that Kane's out. So, it's going to get really dicey. I think one of them's going to practice squad, but if they go, they're getting taken off immediately by another team.
If Reagor leaves, I wouldn't really care. Either one of them.
Right.
I mean, it's your 5th receiver, so it's...
And he caused a few interceptions last year, too. So, and maybe he just needs I mean, Rager's speed is great, but if he can't get the playbook down, he's hurting, us a lot. Tight ends, obviously Hawk. Oliver had he had held the first play of the game, but he had a nice, I believe it was a pancake. Maybe he threw the guy down. He'll be huge in the run game.
And the best third tight end in the league.
Munt. And I think Muse will probably go to practice squad.
Muse might get picked up.
He might. That was a fantastic catch that he had. That was great. High pointed the ball. Made a great play. I like his energy, too. Seems like a good locker room guy. Offensive line.
That's pretty much a lock, I would say.
Yeah, with the continuity that they're bringing back this year. I mean, you got Darisaw Cleveland, Bradbury, Ingram, Dalton Risner, and Brian O'Neill. I think you got Blake Brandel sliding into guard, I believe, a little bit. Vidarian Lowe will be behind Darisaw. You got Schlotman behind Bradbury. And then you've got Oli Udo on the right.
I think they only keep 9 linemen.
They probably will only keep 9. If they were to have... I mean, yeah, because Brandel would probably have to play right guard, too, I guess.
Flexibility.
Right, yeah. So it's probably not much that they're going to keep.
The biggest concern with the offensive line is if Christian Darisaw can stay healthy, that helps so much.
Yeah.
So much.
He's going to take a huge leap this year, and he'll probably want a contract extension, too, here soon, I would say. Defensive line, I think that's also... well, maybe not. Well... That's a tough,
because especially with Lynch going down.
Yeah, that sucked to see, because I thought he was going to really take a leap this year. But Hunter... Harrison Phillips. I think Tonga will probably start at the nose tackle.
He played well last year.
I thought he played great in the preseason game while he was out there. And then you got would Bullard start? Jonathan Bullard?
Apparently everybody's really high on the kid from LSU we picked. Roy.
Oh, Jaquelin. Yep. Yeah, I don't remember seeing much of him in the preseason game. And then Davenport on the other side, and then obviously you got PJ2. And Wanham coming off, so that's good depth there already. So, I don't know. I feel pretty good about that.
The biggest lack there is the interior.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing is, like, if Patrick Jones or DJ Wanham could slide in, it could be like the Saints playoff game a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when the Vikes beat them in 20?
Right.
And they moved Everson and Hunter inside?
Yeah.
Because their interior offensive line wasn't good, and then they just destroyed them.
Yeah. I also want to note this. Harrison Phillips, get a new helmet. It seems way too small on you, my guy. Anywho.
Wow, you just targeted him.
I'm sorry, I don't want to go off track here, but I'm sure a lot of people, when you look at Harrison Phillips, it's like this. It's like really tight.
Let him be, Cam. Let him be.
I think he's a phenomenal player, and I have much respect for the guy, but I think maybe I don't know. I could be wrong, but it just seems really tight on him. That's all I gotta say. It's just little real raw rant there. That's all.
Okay.
Linebackers we already discussed. Corners I think this is probably the most fun that we're gonna do here.
Yeah, I would say so.
You got Byron because you brought him in.
He's a lock.
He's doing phenomenal in training camp. He's obviously covering the best of the best. That'll definitely help him out a ton. I think next to him will be a Caleb Evans. It seems like that's going to be the way that things go there. I think Mekhi Blackman is probably going to be the next one up, and maybe Jawan Williams, I would say.
So hypothetically, week 1, you start Murphy in the slot. Does it change who starts on the outside compared if they were in the slot? In your opinion, would that change?
Yeah, it would.
If Byron starts inside and works his way out, or if he starts vice versa?
If Byron stays in, if he goes to slot, it's going to be probably a Caleb and Jawan Williams, honestly. Because I think they're trying to go for more length on the outside. And, like, Blackman could. I mean, he played solid, but who knows how he'll do against number ones. And it's not like we're playing anybody bad. I mean, yeah, the Bucks have Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask, but they still got to cover Godwin and Mike Evans, so...
It's a very tough week.
Yeah.
Week 1.
Right.
Is Russell Gage still in Tampa as well?
I don't know. Let's...
Because if he's still in Tampa, that's a third receiver that's very, very well.
Yeah, he's there still.
So that's going to be a tough battle week 1 because granted Baker or Kyle Trask they're still an NFL quarterback, and they still have three really good options out there.
So, yeah, I mean, you kind of have to think about that. And, if you're going with experience, it's probably Jawan who will be on the outside, which I'm fine with. Because, I think Mike Evans is, a good 6'4", I would say. And so that kind of works out. Jawan's 6'3", just a frame battle right there. And I obviously 100% trust Caleb Evans with Godwin. So, and then Byron. But I think Byron will probably fall around one of the big dogs. But who knows? I mean, I think that Booth is probably not going to be up there. Booth might even be not even a surprise cut. He just might get cut. But I don't know if
he'll be on the team. You can't cut your second-round rookie of the year before off of one injury-riddled season. You can't go that far.
Yeah.
If he plays like crap all year, then you can cut him next year. But you can't cut him going in after a preseason.
It's just tough to say because Booth, when I was watching him on film like that, I really wanted us to take him. I thought we were going to do it in the first round. I didn't realize that he had an injury issue going on during the draft, and he's always had injury issues, I guess, at Clemson, and obviously it's shown. I really want him to be good. I really do.
On Pop Warner that he was hurt in Pop Warner football.
Really?
Yeah, he was hurt his whole career. He's been hurt.
Yeah.
So
he doesn't have a big frame either. I mean, the guy's not that big.
No.
So, I mean, he's athletic, he's great, but it's just we got to see some or else Kwesi's going to have to, and that's why I predict he'll probably be the first one out of Kwesi's class, first draft class. That could potentially be gone.
Yeah, I don't think he gets caught this year, though. I think he's a lock for the team.
Yeah. Yeah, can't. Yeah, I guess you can't pull the trigger that early.
No, it's too early yet. He has one healthy season where he doesn't play well, and then you can cut him.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't cut him off. He missed, the first 4 games, and then he came back.
Right.
And he was hurt, and then he missed the last, 6.
Yeah.
So you can't really cut him off of one injury-riddled season.
Yeah. So that's 5 corners. That's usually how many a team? Maybe 6 even. Jalen Williams, I believe, had a pick last game. Najee Thompson might actually make it because of his special teams ability. So,
see, that points back to my thing earlier with the third quarterback.
Yeah.
Or if you want 2 quarterbacks and an extra corner.
Right. So, I mean, it's tough. Good thing it's not my job, obviously, or else I'd freak out.
Kwesi gets paid big bucks to do it.
Of course he does. Safety, we have a good safety room, and I think I know the 5 that we're probably going to keep. It's Harry, Bynum, Scene, Metellus, and Ward, most likely. So, and all those guys could probably start, except maybe Ward, probably not. But I would see all of those guys intermixing, definitely, and rotating week 1.
I hope we see 3 safety packages this year.
That would be so cool.
With Metellus, Harrison, and Bynum to start, and then Scene. I think Scene's another one of those guys that could get a package earlier in the year, just because he can hit hard.
Oh, I know.
He's fast, so he's just got to find his way on the field.
Yeah, Scene is one that I really hope he breaks out this year too, because he flew to the ball a lot last game, but he just doesn't finish plays too well, and he gets there, but sometimes it's just either he gets run over or he doesn't wrap up, and so he can get there. It's fun to watch him play, but he just needs to finish plays a lot better.
I mean, he has to be pretty good if he was on that Georgia defense.
Right. Oh yeah. He was flying everywhere, hitting no matter where. He would be going for the head sometimes, but don't throw over the middle against him. That's the consequences of your actions right there.
I wonder how many times he got kicked out for targeting.
Yeah, it was probably at least a good once or I don't know. It's got to be close. He's got to have one at least.
For sure.
At least one. So yeah, I really hope that he plays well this year. And then kicker,
I hope it's a kid from Georgia.
Podles, yeah, he's been giving him a good battle. Clearly they've kept him this long. They obviously think he's got something.
It's just like last year with everybody didn't think Ryan Wright was going to make the team, and he just battled them all the way to the end, and then they're like,
yeah,
just go with a younger leg. And
right.
A fresh start at kicker for this franchise is never a bad idea.
Right. Well, Yeah, because we really like Jordan Berry because he had a big leg, and all of a sudden Ryan Wright beats him out, and it's just kind of like, okay, like what's going on here? And then all of a sudden Ryan Wright's kicking 60-yard punts. It's just like, that's crazy. Like, I think he even had like an 80-yarder last year or something like that. He flips the field just like that. It's insane. And that's really crucial to your defense and takes a lot of stress off your defense, which the Vikings obviously needed last year. So Ryan Wright, he proved me, he definitely showed me that what he has to be a really good punter.
Remember Ryan Quigley?
I do remember Quigley. You obviously remember Chris Cluey.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Legend.
Jeff Locke. Ugh.
Locke was here for 1 year?
Probably 1 or 2 years.
And they cut him for Quigley, and then they went to, after him, they went to Barry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Barry was here for 2 years, and now it's Wright. So
Yeah.
I really hope that they cut Joseph.
Really?
Last year you still have to hold your breath for an extra point. It's like,
Yeah, and I think he had the most extra points last year.
it would be great if we could get like a guy like Daniel Carlson here.
Yeah, I know. I heard that guy is really good, but I guess we'll never end up.
One game at Lambeau.
I think they definitely overreacted a lot during that game. I mean, yeah, it's 3 30-some yard field goals, but like all it was one little thing that he had to fix, and he was fine.
Then he went to Vegas, and they fixed it. And
Yeah.
now he's like the best kicker in football.
We ruined Dan Bailey. Dan Bailey came in our organization as the most accurate kicker of all time, and then just was not himself.
No, not at all. He was so good at Dallas, and then he came here and he just couldn't make an extra point.
No, it was bad. I don't know what. I was like, okay, our kicking problems are finally solved, and then he comes in and like it just nope, we ruined him. All the kickers I've seen Longwell, I've seen Walsh, I've seen him, Dan Bailey, I've seen Kai Forbath, which I don't know.
Kai Forbath was good.
I don't know why we got rid of him. Honestly, I felt pretty good about him kicking all the time. And then Walsh. So Walsh left, then Kai. Who came after Kai? Was it Dan Bailey?
No, it was Carlson.
Was it Carlson?
Because they picked Carlson, and then, remember, you can't forget about the kid they traded up for, like, the 5th round, at, Vatic or whatever.
Oh,
yeah.
Kari Vidic or whatever?
You know
that guy was supposed to be, like, really good, and then in the preseason game, he just wasn't.
Didn't he go to Auburn?
Look it up. Kari.
And they traded him to the Jets after they gave up on him.
Yeah, Kari Vidic. He plays for the Rough Riders of the Canadian Football League.
So he's got some gas left in the tank.
Yeah, well, he's 29. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter. He's 6'4".
He's huge.
He went to. He went to Marshall, where Randy Moss went to school. Yeah, he was supposed to be like
really good.
Yeah, and then he wasn't. So
every Vikings kicker was supposed to be really good, and they're just terrible.
Riley Patterson was on our practice squad for a little bit too, and then he got a job with Jacksonville, but I don't think he's there anymore now.
Didn't the Colts kicker, wasn't he on the Vikings practice squad too? Chase McLaughlin?
Yep.
He was on the Vikings practice squad. I
Mm-hmm.
remember PA saying that in the game against the Colts.
Yeah. So yeah, and then that just brings us to, how did we ever get Joseph? I don't remember how we got him.
I think we just signed him after Bailey got cut.
Could be.
Because didn't they cut Bailey mid-season?
Yeah.
And then once they cut him, he was like the only one that was a decent option. And then they just kind of stuck with him ever since.
Okay. According to Wikipedia, Greg Joseph is a South African professional American football player. So, I didn't know that.
I didn't either, but you trust Wikipedia
he's
with all of your heart. You trust Wikipedia. You can put random stuff on there. You don't need to show the camera.
I'm not going to.
Okay, I thought you were going to.
It said he's born in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Still, he can't make an extra point.
And
It
then
doesn't matter.
him and his family moved to West Boca Raton, Floridians if I'm pronouncing this wrong. West Boca Raton. Yeah.
It doesn't matter where he's from.
I'm just trying to.
I know you're like shell shocked.
Trying to figure out more about this guy. Okay, he went to FAU, and then he was undrafted. Okay, so
Cleveland before us, right?
and yeah, he's got a lot of teams: Miami, Cleveland, Carolina, Tennessee, Tampa Bay, and we signed him 2 years ago.
What does it say? Like
Oh, he won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay.
what Super Bowl?
Well, he wasn't the kicker, but he was obviously on the practice squad.
In 20?
2020, yeah. He's got a ring.
He wasn't on our. I'm trying to think. He wasn't on the Vikings in 2020?
No.
When was his first year in Minnesota?
21-22.
Yeah. So that's crazy. I didn't know he had a ring. He's also buff too.
You should. This was a great look up for you. You're going crazy.
Well,
I don't know where he's from.
I
He's
like
got
to
a
know.
ring.
I like to know about our kicker. He's
Well,
close.
good thing he's not going to be our kicker.
If you were the GM,
No, he wouldn't be. Stand by that. Every time he kicks an extra point, I have to hold my breath. It's an extra point.
it's true.
You get paid millions of dollars to kick ball.
It's very true. Bryson has a mic over there. Bryson, what did you see in the preseason game?
Well, our defense is really impressive. That's what I saw, and we were flying around making plays early, and that's what I like to see from Flores, his scheme. Our offense, it could have been better, but it was Nick Mullins out there, and he was running with the twos. He was running with Addison, and Addison actually surprised me a little bit. I actually was a little mad that one catch, that one toe tap was incomplete, but again, it's preseason, so it doesn't matter. But I watched a little bit, but at the end there, our defense kind of was a little going downhill, but it doesn't really matter. Special teams, flying around, making plays, gotta love it, and not really that much, but I'm really excited for what we can do against Tennessee here on Saturday.
Yeah, I was seeing little glimpses of Chris Carter with that Jordan Addison sideline catch. Looked a little familiar, even though I never watched him.
Yeah, I was going to say, Chris Carter was...
Watching highlights, though, yes, of Chris Carter doing all those sideline toe tap catches. Very impressive, so it'd be nice if they could flip the roles there, have a little Randy and Chris Carter kind of thing again. I don't
KJ
know.
Osborne takes a Jake Reed
Yeah.
role or what?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. But and then TJ Hawkinson is a better Andrew Glover.
All right.
So
We can run with that.
the only issue with that 98 team that we don't have for this team is their offensive line, which is amazing.
Well, we do have the kicking problems.
We do have the kicking problems.
I shouldn't say that because Gary Anderson was perfect.
Gary was it. Yeah, he was perfect until.
Yeah, biggest kick of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And he just decided to curse
Decided.
Minnesota sports.
It's just kind of like, I'm just going to miss this one. Just this one.
I just feel like it.
Just feel like, I'm going to make it really close. I'm going to make sure that it, almost hits the post, but it's going to just barely get outside.
If you're watching the YouTube right there, you just got a treat.
Yeah.
Just
It's. I'm glad I wasn't alive when that happened. Because.
honest to God, if I was alive for that, I don't think I'd watch the Vikings anymore.
I was about to
I think
say.
I would have lit all my stuff on fire and just been like, I'm done.
My stepdad, he after that game he didn't watch them. After that he's like, I'm done, and he was 20 around then, he was around our age when he was watching that game, and then all of a sudden 2 years later, his buddy calls him and goes, "Hey, you watching the game today?" And he was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "The Vikes are back in the championship," and he didn't even know. And then obviously all of us know what happened. We got smacked by the Giants, 41-0.
41 goose egg.
But that just goes to show, he took a year, almost 2 years off, and didn't even know that we were back in the championship game. That's crazy. Philadelphia, wasn't much of a heartbreak for me. It was just disappointment.
No, that was heartbreak for me.
Really?
Yes. You you cannot start the game the way you started that game and have it end like that. Kyle Rudolph's going a touchdown. I'm like, there's no way this is happening right now. Diggs catches that miracle. We're going crazy.
Yeah.
And then you lead up all week to it. And then you have the pitch perfect drive. But then after that, after Case threw that first pick six, I knew it was over. It just was like, you just watched it unfold.
It seemed too good to be true. That first drive was absolutely perfect. It was a dime to Kyle Rudolph in the corner, and then just pick six, and that's where everything went downhill.
Yeah, that pick six it was terrible. And then it just fell off, and it was over.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just maybe it was probably the first time that I had my Vikings moment as far as a heartbreak, because like in 2009 I wasn't really like, we touched on this in the last episode, but I wasn't really like how I am now. You know, I was just starting to get into football, so I don't have really any recollection of that game.
I will say the end of the 2017 game, I watched it like the fourth quarter of my underwear. I took all my stuff off. I had like a Viking sweatshirt on, Viking jersey, all of it on. I took it all off. I ended up watching the fourth quarter of my underwear. I'm like, this team does this to me every year, just in different ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did that for the Colts game actually this year. I took my jersey off, and then they came back. So, but I was like, I can't watch this. We're playing a terrible team at home.
No, the Colts game was just like, wow, another episode.
Yeah.
Just take more years off my life, please. Like,
right. And then
I get myself into it, and then, of course, they score like the first touchdown, and then you're like, there's no way they actually do this.
Right.
And then you just keep telling yourself that as they keep scoring, and then Cook has that long screen play, and then you're like, how?
Right.
Like, why? Just to ring me back in, and then it would have been terrible. I thought Joseph was going to miss that kick in overtime just because like, you get all the way there, and then you just get that stupid tie on your record, which I hate. Wish they would just play to a winner every game. I think the tie is pointless.
Yeah.
It just makes everything way more confusing at the end of the year.
Right. I don't know. That game was... I was sitting there with my uncle who's a Packers fan, and he's like, yep, the Colts are going to find a way to blow this one. And I'm just like, I already took off the jersey. I honestly don't want us to win at this point. And it was for the division, you know, but I was like, whatever. We can get it a different week. And then obviously it happened, and I looked like a dumbass. But I was like, I can't root for a team that's down 33-0 right now.
Whole game could have been different if Jalen Reagor runs 2 full routes.
True, yeah.
Because Kirk threw them right where they were supposed to be, and Jalen just stopped running. Then he threw the one where Reagor was supposed to go out. Kirk threw it in, or whatever. Kirk threw it the right way, and Reagor went in instead of out. And then he picked it off, and there was nobody within 20 yards, and there was the end zone.
Yeah. Yeah, there was, so that one that you're talking about happened first, and he was running like some sort of a curl or whatever. It might have been a choice route or something like that, but Kirk thought he was just going to sit, which he should have because it was wide open, but he decided to go in, and then the guy who was sitting right behind him had a freebie and took it back. The second one, I think he had like a go route or something like that, and he just completely gave up.
It was a deep ball.
Yeah, it was
deep. And then I think it was like a post route, and then he just like, the end of the post route, he just like stopped running it, and Kirk threw it like right towards the sideline, and their guy was like right there.
Oh yeah.
And then they made the biggest mistake. They mocked the Skull chant. You guys should learn from Sean Payton. You never mock the Skull chant.
Yeah.
Please, just don't.
Don't do it.
Actually do it, because it turns out well for the Vikings 90% of the time.
Yeah, just make fun of it. Make fun of the most coolest, most absolute insane chant and pregame ritual. Just do it. See what happens.
That's probably my best memory is after the Vikings beat the Saints in the Miracle game. It's like seeing the stuff on Twitter about Sean Payton mocking the Skull chant. I love that because I hate Sean Payton.
Yeah.
I hate him.
Well, I told you this a few days ago. Jared Allen is working for the Broncos right now. I think it's as like a defensive line coach or something like that. And it kind of pissed me off because he was a part of the bounty gate kind of stuff. I mean, it happened against him. Like, that guy literally did that against your 40-year-old quarterback that you had to hurt. Like, he wasn't aging already in the bones and whatnot, so...
Money talks.
I suppose.
Sure, he's getting paid well, so... I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sure, like, if you lose a game like that, you're going to try to forget it as much as you can. But, to your point, if he would, like, do that and I was playing them, I would block it. I would never talk to him again.
Mm-hmm.
I would never, even if Sean Payton would come to the Crescent to sign autographs, I wouldn't go see him.
No,
hell
absolutely
no.
not. No. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's a little frustrating to see that, but whatever. And so Bailey Ober was on the mound tonight. Gave up a few runs, you said, earlier in the game?
Yeah, right. Like right away, I think they scored 2 in the first or the second.
Okay.
I know Miguel Cabrera hit a home run in his last trip to Target Field. So, one of the greater hitters in the game all the time. Tomorrow will be his last game in Minnesota.
Really?
Yeah.
How many has he played for? What, 20-some years?
I think his first year was, I don't even know. I don't want to say. I would guess all 3, but I'm probably wrong because when I guess stuff, I'm usually wrong. But he started in Florida in 2003, I would guess.
I believe you're right.
That's right.
Hold on, let's look at debut. Spelled that wrong.
What did you look up?
His debut. I believe it is 2000.
Just look up baseball. Click on Baseball Reference.
Oh yeah. Oh, there it is. 2003.
Right on the hammer.
So he's been in the league as long as we've been alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, very good point.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe not you, because you're younger than me.
Wow.
By
didn't need to go there.
By 1, 2, 3, 4 months, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. You didn't need to go there.
So I'm sorry, I didn't. I was just figured I'd point that out.
The big 4 months. What are you doing 4 months?
Yeah. I don't know.
Absolutely nothing.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
I would say the biggest the biggest problem for the Twins right now is they can't beat the Tigers and the Royals. I could see them beating every other team in the MLB except for the Tigers and the Royals.
Right.
Anybody in the division for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
They could going to Philly, win 2 out of 3 against Philly. Granted, the game on Sunday, the umpire helped out a little bit.
Yeah.
Bryce Harper got rung up on probably a ball, and then Alec Boehm got rung up on probably another ball.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, but I would say if the Twins can shore up the division problems, the interdivision problems, they would be chilling.
Yeah, I definitely agree because those games are just absolutely crucial, especially those 4-game series where it is an in-division opponent. And at this point in the season, I mean, we're nearing the fall, and it's just we're no guarantee to get in. That's the thing, and we're planning on going to a playoff game. It's gonna be great. We ordered our jerseys the other day.
We're on turn 4 of the season, so the Twins got to get their crap together and figure out what they're gonna do.
Yeah, it's at that point where there can't be any mistakes, especially going into the playoffs. If you end the season on the right note, where you obviously win a ton of games and be able to just get a nice lead in front of your other divisional opponents, I believe good things can happen. We did talk about last episode that I believe that we will get our first playoff win in 20 years this year. I just, for some reason, have a good feeling about it. I don't know how you feel.
I'll believe it when I see it. I just don't really have faith because every time I turn on a Twins playoff game, like in 2009 when they played the Yankees with Kadire and Tomey, they jumped out early. The first game in Minnesota, Kadire hit a home run to center, and then they just faded. Everything fades. Like the one year, 2017, when they played in the Yankee Stadium, Rosario and Dozier both hit homers in the first inning. She's like, okay, sweet. Turn the ball over to Irvin Santana, gives all 3 runs right back, and you're tied. Mm-hmm. And then I don't think they scored the rest of the game. So I will believe it when I see it. Twins playoff baseball is worse, the worst sport in Minnesota, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The Twins, not even the Twins in general, just the Twins in October. In November is the worst. Mm-hmm. It's terrible.
Yeah, so we do plan on going to a Twins playoff game.
If there is one.
If there is one. Thank you for that.
Because we're in August and we still don't know if they're going to sneak into the playoffs.
Right. At this point, it's who knows. With the rate that they're going at, yeah, they might sneak in, but it's not a for sure thing, obviously. So, thankfully, our division sucks, or else we probably wouldn't be talking about the playoffs at this point.
No, not at all.
But we will try to get to one. Like I said, we bought our nice jerseys from Fanatics. I bought a Johan Duran jersey, sick. Ev bought a Kirilov and a
Royce Lewis,
who was back today actually. Had an RBI in his first at bat, I believe.
And then Matt Wallner hit the grand slam
Matt Wallner.
to win the game.
That's great.
Hometown hero.
That's wonderful. Always love a good hometown hero story.
We don't have anyone in Vikings anymore.
I know.
So
it's
Matt
tough.
Wallner's like the only one, really.
Thielen was the last one.
Actually,
that was
Brock
gone.
Faber on the Wild. Can't forget about the Wild.
Yeah, we haven't really touched on the Wild, but
We'll get
much
there.
to
We're
talk
kind of in
about.
the dog days of August right now.
Bryson has something to say.
Forgot CJ Ham.
Oh,
Wow.
I
How can I
Forget
forget?
him.
I cannot forget my hammy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Where's he from?
Duluth.
Duluth.
Or Augustana. Or did
That's
go
where he
to
went to college.
Augustana?
Yeah.
Augustana, okay.
Yeah. D2 school, baby.
Yeah, we're just in the dog days of August, trying to get to
Yeah.
October when the Vikes are playing.
We're really trying to do our best to give you guys good info, but when it's preseason and the Twins not playing to the best of their abilities, it's really tough to need to try and drag things out and make good content for you guys. But we promise once September and the fall rolls around and there's weekly things to talk about, more exciting things to talk about with the Vikings actually playing every week and actually meaningful games. It'll be a lot easier to be able to talk about things and keep them going on for a good amount of time. And then the Twins obviously just leading up to see if we will make the playoffs or not.
I think what our plan is for the fall or October is to get 2 to 3 episodes out a week.
Right.
Maybe focus on like one team a week or something like that. We'll figure it out when it comes to that point. But
Yeah. So the layout that we're planning on either trying out or just sticking to right now. So what you guys obviously hear or watch every single week is just 2 teams mixed together, and that would be right now. Would be the Vikings and the Twins. But
mainly more Vikings and Twins.
right, yeah. But what we will maybe shift towards to is just one 30 to 45 minute episode on one team and then another for another day, and just keep them all separate instead of trying to keep them all together and having it one team more lopsided than the other. I think it'd just be easier probably to talk about and not have to transition and whatnot, and just keep things easier to be able to write down and just going about it that way. But I think we are going to wrap it up there.
Yeah, I think that's a wrap. All right, that's a wrap on today's show. I know we didn't get too deep into the Twins, but it's kind of hard when you post once a week and they play every day. Usually lose every day at this rate.
Right.
But yeah, I know we got pretty deep into the Vikings, which is it's pretty easy. I think me and you could talk about the Vikings for hours on end.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in the fall we'll get more Twins action, especially if they do sneak into the playoffs. And the Vikings will be easy to cover, obviously, because they play once a week. And I think the Wolves and the Wild content will ramp up as well. Maybe we'll go for hockey, go for football.
Mm-hmm.
But where would you find us on socials and all that stuff?
Yeah, so if you're listening to this podcast, you'll probably most likely find it on Spotify and Apple at Bold North Sports. And then on YouTube, obviously, this is where you would probably be finding our long form. You can also find some YouTube shorts, too, and TikToks and Instagram Reels. We are planning on getting stuff out. It's just been kind of difficult trying to find different things that we want to give out to you guys in the short form area. But with all that being said, we are going to end this episode. As far as future scheduling of uploads, we might try and just do one episode on one team instead of combining the two together. It just makes it a lot easier and not have to transition. And I think it would be kind of nice for you guys also. You guys can actually pick who you want to hear us talk about, whether it is the Vikings, the Twins, Wild, or the Timberwolves. So when the fall comes around, that might be a pretty good option because we are going to try to get to two or three episodes out a week. Again, like what Evan said, when the playoffs eventually come around, hopefully things will be a lot more condensed and not have to always look for the different games that come around and be behind on them. And obviously, a lot of you probably were listening to the last episode and were like, whoa, we're on this big losing streak now. This doesn't make sense. So we are going to try to get things out as soon as possible after the recording. But we hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you guys in the next episode.